like to thank everyone for coming, and I do have a prepared statement that I will read because I want to word things very, very carefully and very explicitly. But before I go to the prepared statement, I would like to give a brief overview, and that involves the fact that, as many of you know, I was a debate coach here at Bethany College in Mankato for quite a few years. And I always told my debaters right out of the chute the first time we met this. I said, where you start is you start by finding out everything you can about the topic at hand. The key is being well informed, knowing the facts, knowing what's true. And once you know the facts, once you have the information, once you know what's true, then you're in a position to begin to put together a case or a position for debate. I am an individual that cannot tolerate things on the table that are not true. And a campaign is an ongoing debate in the public square. And because it's an ongoing debate in the public square, I'm going to do everything within my power to have what is true on the table and to brush aside what is not true. In the debate last Thursday at Byron, Minnesota, as is well known, Mr. Tim Walz accused me of saying that I wanted to cut veterans' benefits. I objected to that very strongly, saying that was not my position and that I had never said anything like that. Instead of saying, oh, okay, well, maybe not, or whatever, Mr. Walz instead said that there was some nebulous, mysterious tape that revealed that I had said that I wanted to cut veterans' benefits. I assure you that is not true, because my position is to protect veterans' benefits, not cut them. The New Ulm Journal pressed Mr. Walz on that, and his campaign came back with a citation of an almanac debate, and I'm going to deal with exactly what I said in that almanac debate in my prepared statement. But again, the reason I'm here is to have the record set straight. I am a stickler on accuracy. I'm a stickler on having truth, genuine information on the table as we debate. We can differ on how to interpret the facts, but let's deal with the facts. Having said that, I go to my prepared statement, title being, Alan Quist calls on Tim Walz to retract and apologize for false veteran benefits claims. At the first Congressional District debate, held September 27th at Byron, Minnesota, Tim Walz accused Alan Quist of having said he wanted to cut veterans' benefits. Quist responded by saying that was not true, indicating that was not his position and that he had never said what Walz claimed. I'm not going to put this in the first person. Tim Walz defended his accusation by indicating he had a tape that verified his statement. Later that day, the Journal asked the Walz campaign for substantiation for Walz's claims. Then I cite the New Ulm Journal article. In response, the Walz campaign referenced a particular almanac show, a pre-primary debate, that was held last April and can be accessed easily on the net. I include the URL for that debate. A transcript of the statement in question, made by myself in the debate, when asked about Social Security, Medicare, and veterans benefits, reads as follows, and I quote, "The biggest threat to entitlement spending is the out-of-control spending of the federal government. We are less than 6 years away from where Greece is today. And when you approach default, then you are in a position where you can't honor any of your commitments. So I am saying we have to balance the budget. We have to do so in 6 years or less. And that is the only way to protect entitlements and to protect our national defense spending." That is word for word what I said. And so it is quite obvious that I am being not just taken out of context, misquoted. That is, the supposed evidence cited by the Walz campaign actually verifies my own position, namely, that my position is protecting entitlements, including veterans benefits, not cutting them. The accusation made by Tim Walz is shown to be without verification and therefore without merit. Now let me add to that anyone in debate bringing an accusation assumes the burden of proof, as is the case in court. Any party bringing an accusation assumes the burden of proof. And it is quite evident that there is no proof that has been offered by the Walz campaign. In fact, what they have offered verifies my position. For that reason, I'm now asking Tim Walz to issue a retraction and an apology for his false claims. Basic standards of integrity require that false accusations be avoided in public discourse. I, however, am willing to give Mr. Walz the tentative benefit of the doubt on the presumed assumption that his false claim was made out of ignorance and not malice. That assumption may change, however, if the false claims by Tim Walz are not corrected and an apology is not made. I'm also asking Tim Walz to agree with me in engaging in a campaign focused on the important issues before our nation and to avoid further false accusations, name-calling, and personal attacks. The public is looking for honest debate that is intended to scrutinize various proposed solutions to our nation's most pressing problems, and is not looking for any tactics that avoid such debate. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my position. It is very, very clear. I am a compromiser, but I do not compromise on what is true. I do not compromise on the facts. I welcome any questions.
Has not just Tim Walz, but has any member of the Walz campaign office contacted you about what you just said?
They have not. And I should mention here too, one of the reasons for my being here today, as opposed to earlier, is we did have the at-issue debate with Tom Hauser, and that gave Tim the opportunity to correct what he said and to apologize. And I wanted to give him that opportunity. He has not made use of taking advantage of it. That's why I'm here today.
You want him to publicly apologize? Do you want him just to call you privately and just say, hey, I screwed up, or what do you want him to say?
Only a public apology will suffice, because the statement he made was public. His second statement, that there supposedly was a tape verifying his position, was public. He needs to make a public correction and public apology. Any other questions? Be happy to.
Are you pretty confident that people can't go back and find anything that you might have said that might not be completely accurate?
The thing of it is, my position is to protect Social Security, Medicare, and veterans benefits. And I can't imagine that I would have said something contrary to what I believe. And now, is it theoretically possible I may have misspoken sometime? Of course. You know, I mean, nothing is 100%. But I know what my position is. I've been totally consistent. I'm in concrete on it. And what I say is consistent with my position. Now, let me add to that. Okay, let me add to that. I have been a teacher, I've been in government, but I make my living as a farmer and an investor. And as an investor and as a farmer, I can buy and sell $100,000 worth of commodities by word of mouth. I will get a contract in the mail sometime later. It might be a week later, it might be 2 weeks later. I used to do business with L.R. Anthony, where I often made agreements by word of mouth only. I wrote it down, Mr. Anthony wrote it down, no contract, okay? My word is my bond. And I say things, when I say something, I mean it. Now, I apply that to Social Security, Medicare, and veterans benefits. We have a contract. I'm saying the federal government has a contract with our seniors on Social Security, Medicare, with our veterans on veterans benefits. You never violate contracts. Never. And I just delivered within the last week 2 contracts of soybeans, $5,000 each at a given price. On one of those contracts I was ahead, on one of those contracts I was behind, okay? The thought of reneging on a contract is never on the table. Never on the table. I don't care whether I'm ahead or behind. You honor your contracts, period. So that's where I'm coming from. And I just want you to know why I am so totally and concrete on this. It's not a matter of pragmatism, it's a matter of contract. Yes?
Yeah, sorry. Ellen, protecting veterans' benefits, as you just said in your speech, has that always been your position, clear and cut? Or have you amended your position over the years, or has that always been your position?
It has always been my position. Same thing with, but my position fundamentally is a position of contracts. And so I apply that to veterans benefits, Social Security, Medicare. I always honor contracts, and government has to always honor contracts.
What should happen to Tim Walz if he doesn't apologize?
Well, it's on his conscience. I mean, I'm not, if you think I'm coming here with a threat, no, I have no power, I have no control over what he does. I'm telling him what he needs to do and what's right. And what he does is totally up to him. But I want to make that clear. I'm not intending to issue any kind of threats. And if you were to ask me, you know, is this slander? I'm simply going to say that's not my interest. My interest is honesty, accuracy, truthfulness. And I will always insist that accuracy be what's on the table. And anything other than that, I will not tolerate. I don't care what the issue is. Anything else? Are we good? Josh?
Why do you feel that this particular statement deserves to get a whole presser of it itself? I mean, you know, politics are politics, as some people say.
Right.
Why does this deserve special attention?
It deserves special attention because, first of all, what Tim Walz says is false. And I can't tolerate that. Secondly, I have no way of adequately dealing with the falsehood without hitting it head on. The worst situation is, well, Walz says this and Quist says that. Where does that leave us? In an absolutely unacceptable situation. Now, Tim Walz put other things on the table Thursday that were not correct. I corrected him. I didn't count how many times I corrected him, but it was a few. And he didn't disagree with the correction, end of story. And here, however, I corrected him, saying that is not true, but he doubled down. And he said, oh, there is a tape. I mean, he made this reference to the tape. If he had said, okay, that would have been the end of it. But he didn't say that. He doubled down and said, oh no, I'm right. So that's why I have to confront it.
Now, part of your kind of call for a more civil debate going forward, does that include you apologizing for anything you brought up, or any apologies for said?
Apologies for strong language are not required. Okay, and I'm going to object to some of the language that Tim Walz uses, his extremist language, I object to. Okay, that is not accurate, but does that require an apology? No, that's editorial, that's rhetoric. Okay. I don't ask apologies for rhetoric. He can use whatever rhetoric he wants. I mean, I'm going to object, but you don't ask apologies for rhetoric. But when something is factually wrong, okay, especially when it's a personal accusation that is factually wrong, then I will insist on a correction and an apology. But rhetoric, you know, that rhetoric comes and goes, and you know, all I'll say though is, you know, you don't want to be too thin-skinned. And I guess I would advise Mr. Walz to not be too thin-skinned.
Is there any concern that you'll be perceived that way, since you're bringing that up? Is there any concern you'll be perceived that way by holding the whole presser on things he said about you?
Well, you know, I mean, there are risks in anything that you say. In politics, you can't open your mouth without having some risk. But I don't have any choice, okay? I mean, yes, there are risks. I have no choice but to be here insisting that the record be set straight. Partly because I have to ask the question, okay, what's it going to be next time? And do I wait until I get falsely accused again before I come and say, we can't do this? So this is so important. We have to stop it as soon as possible.